6,500, almost 1,000 Persians, which again might seem a little augmented, a little embellished, a little bloated, but quite likely, given the severity of the battle, given the way that the battle developed, might indeed make sense. There is, and there's no doubt about that, an inspection of the battlefield that was carried both by the Athenians and later on, with a nice little delay of 2 days, by a contingent of Spartan troops, about 2,000 to 2,500 in strength. They went over to Marathon, looked around the battlefield, all basically congratulated the Athenians on a job well done, grudgingly, and then basically left and went back to Sparta. As a result, and if you think about it, this is the conclusion of the Battle of Marathon. Now, while, especially in the light of the second expedition of Persia, the second offensive of Persia, which was launched in 480 by Xerxes, which in itself also contains some major decisive engagement between the Persian and Greeks, Thermopylae being one, naval battle of Salamis, extremely determinative in this case, and last but not least, Plataea, which is a battle which I can assure you I have no idea how the Greeks won, but don't get me into that, which would mark by 479 the very end of the Persian Wars. Now, while Marathon is nothing more in this case than an actual episode within the wider chronological event that we refer to the Persian Wars, it still remains as one of the most important ones. This is indeed why we're commemorating it still some 2,500 years later. Thank you. I'm more than happy to entertain any questions. I know I probably kept you guys too late, but I can go on and on. This is the short version of what I had in mind. So, I beg your pardon? Well, it's an expression that we use in England, like every man and his dog is going for that. But while there are no dogs or no puppies with the Plataeans, I can assure you there is one, according to mythology, with the Athenians. Apparently he charged the Persians. He was probably more combat effective than the Persian army put together, but he charged the Persians alongside with his master. Apparently, and Nicola I'm sure can correct me on this, there is a representation of the Pekili Stoa in the ancient Athenian Agora, in which one of the actual friezes depicts the owner and the dog following him and attacking the Persians. There is one of these, supposedly. Okay, yeah, I can live with that. Anything else you guys like to ask? Yes, ma'am.
How did the Persians conquer get lost?
If you're asking me where the Persian cavalry is, I think that they're actually foraging far away. 5 days have passed. Supplies, at least food supplies, are running low, which means that the cavalry needs new foraging ground. I believe that they made the mistake of heading over essentially at the top of the marshes, so therefore to the northwest of where their ships were. They're foraging, they're having a cup of coffee, they're chilling, and then they suddenly see the Athenians charging down. By the time that it probably takes them to get on their horses and get all the way there, they were pretty much very late for the battle. There seems to have also been some sort of confusion. We hear of Persian troops that are lost within the marshes, both in the initial stages of the battle, but also when they're trying to retreat. And secondly, we also, or it is possible that some of the horses got lost in the middle of the roof. It's like, where is the battle? That way. So they just went that way. They missed the tree by about 100 yards. The one thing that's for certain that I'm almost like certain about this, the cavalry is there, it just doesn't have the time or the opportunity to engage effectively in the battle. It would make no sense for the cavalry not to be there because Miltiades would not have fallen or would not have followed to strengthen his flanks. With no cavalry, it should have been a straight grudge match, two front lines, head on, and whatever happens. So, probably lost, but either way, it's late for the plan. Yes?
You mentioned that the minimum precision was 2 inches. I was wondering if that was medical precision for the time, with the fear of infection, the stature of people at the time.
The whole idea, it's not necessarily going to knock him out. You're not going to kill him with a 2-inch incision. You might render him ineffective. think about a 2-inch incision that is basically bringing at the area of the forearm. That's going to bring your shield arm out of commission. The same thing would apply if you do it in your actual spear or sword hand. The same thing applied if you aim anywhere in the chest itself. You would, in this case, be taken out. The knock itself, even the psychological impact of the knock, would pretty much render you useless. You'd be withdrawn from the battle, and that's about it. 2 inches is nothing. I mean, even if you think of the kind of damage it can do, you can imagine when the Athenians are basically just stamping the ground with the Persians. Nasty, brutal. Not fun, not good cricket to the Athenians.
John, thank you very, very
My
much.
pleasure. Thank you.